Hey gamers, I got a huge one for you today. We're going to review the latest Carcassonne Big Box edition, as well as expansions 1 through 10, except for 7 because they never reprinted it, costs $100, and it's reviled by every fan, or so I hear in the comments. Let's check it out. Starting out with the base game, it's very simple. What you're going to do is have your score track here, put one of the meeples here, the other 7 are going in your hand here. You're going to have these 50 and 100 point markers when you go around this board once or twice, depending on how many expansions you play. You may do that. And you'll have the starting tile, which looks different than the regular stack of tiles. As you see here, it's a little bit darker on the outside, and the center is more white. So once you start, what you do is you decide who's going to be first player. They take the top tile and they place it. And they can place it anywhere. They can place it cities on cities or roads on roads. What they can't do is, of course, they can even place it field on field if they wanted to. But they couldn't, of course, place it like that or place it like that. Everything must match up. Now, when they place it down, they can also put a man in 3 different areas. They could put him only on the tile that they played. They could put him on the city. They could put him on the road, or they could put him laying down. Now, let's say in another turn, the red player were to go and they were to put one here. Now, the red player cannot put one on a road because the yellow player is already there. Here's a good example. Let's say they played this tile here and it was their turn. They could actually place one on a road right there. And if later on they met, that's fine. But you couldn't do it if someone was physically already on that road when you played the tile. But right like this, yeah, there's a good chance these will meet, but then it meets like that. There you go. If that's the case, then you can have 2 on a tile. You could even have 3 on a tile or 4 on a tile or whatever on a tile to end it. But let's say someone was to end this road. Someone played right here, and maybe yellow put their man right here. They couldn't put it on here because they already have a man on that road. So put it here. Well, now you would score the road. And what you get, and if it's both players, they both get the victory points. But if it's just one, you count the number of tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's how many points they get, 5 points. So you move them up 5 on the score track. Now, the same thing if you were finishing cities, like so. Let's say someone came around and they were trying to finish this city out here, and maybe, oh my goodness, after so many tiles, they finished it. They would get to score it. Of course, like I said earlier, what if someone had put their road here and a red player had put them in the city, and then later on it had gotten connected? Well, that's fine. They would both score the points. But how you would score a city is once it's completed, you count the number of tiles plus the number of shields. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it'd be times 2. So again, yellow player would get 16 more points. And then they get to take their meeple off. Now, the only time that you can score and take your meeple off at the same time would be this. If you were to put him down and score that, and that would be a right score there for 4 points, then you could pick him up. What you couldn't do, if you were all out of men, let's say you didn't have any men on the board, and I had all my men out on the board waiting for things to score, and I put this down and scored him. Could I then bring him and put him somewhere else or something, or maybe I completed this city, I guess, and I scored it. Now could I put him somewhere else? Could I put him on the road now? No, I have to wait till the next turn to put him on a different item. Now with fields, it's at the end of the game. Whatever that field is connected to, separated by roads, however many completed cities it touches at the end of the game are worth 3 victory points each. But these never come up till the end. So they can score you some big points, but then you'll always be 1, 2, 3 short, depending on how many you're putting out there. You'll have less men you can score in the game, so you need to be careful. The other way to score is through the cloister here. If you were to put this down, of course, it had to be in a fielded area. And eventually, if all these tiles were to surround it, and I don't really have a good example here, but let's say some of these tiles were moved around. Oh my goodness, I don't know how this is going to work. Let's say that's there. That's there. Anyway, they'd have to surround. You could put someone on this one, and once they've surrounded all the surrounding tiles, there's 9 there, this scores 9 victory points. Now, at the end of the game, you would only score 1 point for any uncompleted road, 1 point for any uncompleted cities that people were in, and 1 point for any, for all the completed places in a cloister here. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points instead of 9, which is what you usually get. If you got 9, you could remove him from the board and play him again. But anyway, that's the base game, and whoever has the most points wins. Now let's talk about the first mini expansion called the River. And instead of this starting tile, you'll be using these starting tiles first. You'll be playing these first before anything else. You will start with what's called the Source right here of the waterfall. And then after that, each player will take from the top deck, and this deck's always shuffled, so it can always be different. The only rule is the rivers must line up. And then you get to place the last tile, which is where it pools up here, the water pools up here, and then you'll have a river. Now remember, whenever you're shuffling these tiles, they always look different, but they'll give you basically a different starting area here before you go into your regular tiles. And that's it for the river. The Abbot is the next mini expansion. He's just an extra meeple that you have in your group. He can be placed in monasteries like regular meeples can, or gardens. As you see, these are little garden tiles here. So when you play a garden tile, now the Abbot can go right there on top of that garden. And so when this garden area is surrounded, he's going to score 9 points, just like you would if it was in a cloister here. And at the end of the game, same thing would happen. You would score any unfinished tiles here. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is what he'd score at the end of the game. The expansion ends and cathedrals come with new tiles that show these ends, and then other ones that show cathedrals. Cathedrals are in cities, ends are in the road sections here. And whenever you place a man on a road and it has an end, once it's completed, it will score 2 victory points per road instead of just 1. But if it's incomplete at the end of the game, it scores no points. Same thing with cathedrals. If you complete your city by the end of the game and you score it, it's worth 3 victory points per tile and shield. Or if you don't score it at the end of the game, it's worth no points. So this is kind of a boom or bust situation here with these 2 tiles. It also comes with this bigger, thicker meeple. He's like the El Grande worker, as you see, compared to the smaller meeples. And what he does is he counts for 2. So again, just like I showed you could steal a road or steal to be on a city with someone. If you have him on there, he would count for 2 and he could get majority. In the Traders and Builders expansion, you have these good tokens. And how you can get these good tokens is by completing certain cities, even if you're not in it, with these little emblems on it, and getting the rewards for each one of these. Now, again, you don't have to be in that city. All you have to do is complete that city. So you may be completing it for someone else. They may be scoring the points, but they will get none of the goods because they weren't the one that put the last tile on there that completed that city. And if you were, you'll get all these random goods. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most of each type good will get 10 victory points. With the Builders expansion, you have this extra builder here, and what you would do is on one of your turns, if you were to play a tile like this, let's say I just played this one, then I could place my builder on it because I already have one of my men on it. I could do the same if it was in the city too, if I connect to a city. So either way, and every time you added to that road or city, you could play again. So for example, if I played this one and added to that road, well, the builder was on that, I get another turn. So I could do this and boom, score it. Now when you score it, you just score it normal. The builder doesn't give any extra points there. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Score 5 points, and then you can take both of them up, and then next time, maybe I have another meeple in this city, and when I add to it again, well, now I can put my builder there. So now every time I add to the city, I can take an additional turn and keep building onto the city or other spots as well. So it just basically gives you back-to-back turns. Now you can't do it more than once. As you see, I add another one to that one. You can't do it more than once. You only get 1 back-to-back turn per turn. The next expansion that comes in the game is the Pig, and he's basically someone that when you see a farmer there and you place a tile into a field where your farmer is already at, you may place the pig in that same field area. And what this will do at the end of the game, you will get 4 victory points for every completed city that is on within the same field as your farmer. Again, this can be huge in the game for big points. Next up, we have the Flying Machine expansion. What you do is you have all these extra tiles. I have this little flying wings on there. Once you place one like this, you can roll this die. You're going to get a 1, 2, or 3, and you're going to move that many spaces above the arrow. So I moved 2, I could go 1, 2. Now, if I moved a 3, I could have gone a 3 in that direction, but you may not stop on a 1. You rolled a 2, so you must go on the 2 if you want to use the flying machine. And here, I have a few choices. I can play on the road if no one else has claimed the road, or I can play in the field if no one's claimed that field, but I cannot play on this city because blue player is already there. I also couldn't do it. Let's say that this road was actually finished, and it kind of just dead-ended like that. Okay, I couldn't play on a completed road either. So in this case, if I was here and had the flying machine right down there, then if I rolled that 2, I could go 1, well now I'd be even further away, but it'd go like 1, 2, And over here, I couldn't play on this completed road, but I could play on that field or any other road. The next expansion is called the Messengers, and what you'll do is have these messengers who will also start on the starting track here at 0. And whenever you score points, you have the option of either moving your man or the messenger. Now, whenever the messenger gets to the 5, 10, 15, every 5 spots, he can draw from this stack of tiles here. They're marked with gold and the golden scroll. And what it does is give you various victory points in the game, and of course the rule book tells you what each one of those points do. So for example, let's say I scored this road 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'd bring my meeple up, and then up here I have the option of advancing my guy or the messenger. I'll move my guy to the messenger 5 there, where he will get to grab one of the scrolls, and I will get the reward on that or cash it in on it depending on what the example is here. So for instance, the one I drew says that, hey, you get 2 points per coat of arms instead of 1 point. So when I score a city, I can cash this in and get 2 points per coat of arms instead of just 1. So in an example, I told you these count for like having an extra tile on the board. Well, now they would count for 2 because I'd have this. And that's how the Messengers expansion works. The next expansion is called Ferries. You have some more tiles you can lay down. Basically has these little pool areas with these 3 docks here and these extra little ferries here, the little bridges there. What you're going to do is when you play one, let's say Red were to play one, they played it here, they could connect that ferry anywhere, here or here, okay? And let's say later on maybe they just put a guy here. Well, next time, let's say the red player played again and they had another ferry car and they put it here. Well, now what they're going to do is they're going to continue the road here, but they also get to run down that road and see if there are any other ferries, and then they connect or disconnect them if they want to. So maybe they connected this one, and now these two are now on the same pathway, whereas before or earlier they weren't. Maybe yellow had placed that down. So to give you an example of how ferries work, let's say the board looked like this. The yellow player was extending his road by going this way. Well, now it's the red player's turn. He's going to place one here. He will also extend the road, but he also gets to change any other ferries that connect to that road. So he's going to go here, place his man here. And now he's got this road tile out, but he has now ended the turn of yellow and automatically scored him. And then later on, if red player were to play another ferry one, he would again bring another ferry in here. He could change this if he wanted to. He didn't want to, but if he wants to change this, he could again, and thereby giving one dead end. If he gets another dead end, he could complete the road. So these ferries are always moving back and forth depending on which player played it and how many other tiles were connected to it. The next expansion is called Gold. What you do is you have all these gold tiles that are brought into the game here, and as you're placing these, if ever you finish a road where it's connected to all the gold, you will get all that gold regardless of whether you're on the road or not. So you get 1 gold for each emblem that you have here. And look, it has a little road that crosses over a city there. I love this. But anyway, once you complete a road, you will get all the gold that's on that road. And they have little gold tokens here that you can use. And at the end of the game, depending on how many gold you have in your possession, will be worth X amount of points. So if I had 1 to 3 gold, they're worth 1 victory point each. If I had 7 to 9 gold, they're worth 3 victory points each. And that's basically the gold expansion. The next expansion is the Mage and the Witch expansion. As you see, it has these tiles here. They have this little emblem on there. You have a mage and a witch. And so whenever you place one, you're going to move or place the mage or witch. Whichever one's not on the board, you'd place next. If someone played this one, let's say, and they could have a choice between which ones they wanted to play here. But if someone played this one later on, then the only choice they would have is to put the witch somewhere. Next up, if someone played this one somewhere, then they would place it down, maybe here, and then they could either move the mage or the witch over to that tile. And you always got to move the mage or the witch onto the newest tile where they're at. Now, the cool thing about the mage is he's going to score you extra victory points. He's going to give you 1 extra victory point per tile that is on. That's within the city or in the road. So you really want to get lucky and score him on there because he's going to give you some big victory points. Vice versa, the witch is going to hurt you. You don't want the witch on your city or whatnot that you're playing, because if you complete that city or that road, you'll get half your victory points rounded up. Okay, so if you got 5 victory points, you can only get 3. If you got 6 victory points, you'd only get 3 because the witch will cut your score in half. The mage will add on to it. The next expansion is called the Robber expansion. It gives you a little robber here and some more tiles here. The rule book gives you the old emblem, like some black bag, and that kind of irks me that they just copy and pasted the old rule book under the new game. But anyway, this is the emblem for the robber here in this big box. And so what happens is whoever plays this, the next person, the player who played it, and the next person in line get to put their little robber figure out on the scoreboard here. And they're going to place it next to another person's character. So I played it there, and let's say red was next to me, they'd play theirs on another player here. Anyway, when red scores, let's say they were to play that and they were to score this row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Well, the robber is going to steal half of those points rounded up. So I would get 1, 2, 3, and red would get 1, 2. After that, the robber would go away. He only comes back when you place another tile or the person in front of you in line takes that tile. Then you get to place your robber back, and the next time you will score on that robber. So he comes on and off the board depending on how many of these get drawn in the game. The next expansion you have is these crop circles. Once these are played, you must either place an additional man on another farm or another road or another city, depending on the emblem here. Those are the only 3 emblems there that are in the game. But you must place one in one of those areas again. If you can't, then you must take one off. That's basically all it does. So it makes you put an unnecessary second person on that road or city or field, or maybe it is necessary, who knows. But if you can't do that, if you're out of men, then you have to remove one from the field, road, or city if you have one in the game. Expansion number 3 is called the Princess and the Dragon. This one comes with more tiles here. It comes with a fairy and a dragon meeple as well. And it comes with a bunch of cool little tiles here. So for example, when you place a tile with the princess, see that's the princess in the city. So yellow player would definitely want to play it here. Why? Because whenever a knight sees a princess in that tower, they're going to flee from the city. I don't know why, how that works thematically. Maybe she's ugly as sin. But anyway, or maybe she's just a wench, you know. Anyway, so you can evacuate other players from that city. Now, they do have something called magic portals that lets you go on anywhere on any previous placed tile and occupy that empty city or road if you did that as well, because you can get people off roads too. Other tiles that are very important are these volcano tiles. Whenever you play a volcano tile, that is where the dragon will appear. Now there are several volcano tiles, so if another one was played, the dragon would move from there to there. Anyway, whenever someone were to play a dragon tile like so, and look at this, the road goes underground. I think that's kind of cool, so the road continues in that one. They have a lot of neat tile ideas on this one. So if someone were to play it here, then that player, let's say it was red player, can move the dragon 6 spaces. And wherever the dragon goes, boom, it'll take out anyone in its path. All right, but let's say if I was down here, the dragon could go 1, 2, 3, 4 and take me out, but he couldn't go backwards to get maybe this other guy on the road because he can never go back on the same turn on a tile he's already been on. So if that were the case, you just knocked that player off and he couldn't make the other, maybe I was right here, and he couldn't move the other 2 spaces to get me. Either way, that's kind of how the dragon works. Another thing that protects you is the fairy. How you get the fairy is on your turn, you decide not to place a meeple, and instead you can place or move the fairy onto you. And in that case, the dragon cannot destroy you. He can't even go on that tile because I guess just like the knight is repulsed by the fairy, the dragon is repulsed by that ugly, ugly fairy. I don't know. But anyway, that's what protects you. And every time the fairy stays there on your turn, you will get a victory point. And that's the game. The next expansion is called The Tower. It's the 4th expansion in the series. It comes with this great little sturdy tile tower. You can keep all your tiles here and just remove them in the game and place them out. So I really love that. But it also comes with extra tiles. And look, they have places where you can put tower pieces because it comes with a bag of nice thick wooden tower pieces. And how this expansion is played, it actually acts as more interaction for the players. What you do when you place one, you can place one of these towers on it and then capture any meeple that is touching that tower. So, which is 1 space away. So I could grab him. Now, for the red player to get him back, the red player would have to take one of my yellow, and the moment they take one of my yellow, we have to exchange. That's what the rules say. You have to exchange. You can't keep it. Or the red player, if they really want this red guy back, they can give me 3 victory points on the score track and get him back. Now, next time, if someone were to play, let's say this tower here, now they have a choice. Red player may now say, okay, I can place one here on this tower, and let's say I'm over here too, or they can place one on this tower. Okay, so one space away they could grab him, but if they played 2 spaces away on that one there instead of playing on this one, because they can play on any of these towers. If they were to play on this tower here, then they can grab one from any of 2 spaces away on the board. And so on and so forth. It could be 3, 4. These towers can get really big until someone decides, you know, let's say another player plays one in a city there, and instead of playing any of them over there, a yellow player goes, boom, nope, I'm capping that off. No one else is allowed to take any more meeples. That tower is way too big. Now, this game interacts with all of the other expansions in the game. For example, they said that dragons can take out people on towers, and the ringmaster haven't gotten to in the 10th expansion can also be placed on top of the tower. In fact, I should mention all of these expansions are interactive with all of the other expansions all the way up to 10, because I guess they've been reprinted so much that everyone knows which expansion's theirs. And so that's the tower. Expansion number 5 is called the Abbey and the Mayor, and what you're going to have here is, of course, some more tiles. The most interesting tile would be this one, this enclosed cloister here. What you could do is you could put in, if you have any open gaps here, it can also close off cities. It can, you know, it kind of has a border around it, so it can match up with any terrain. And from there, you could also score it as well, just like you would anything, and get the 9 victory points. But it can block cities and fields as well, so that's really nice. But they also have some new stuff here. They have a barn. Once you create a 4-corner field, like so, let's say that I create a 4-corner field like that. Well, what I could do is I could place my barn on that one. And what the barn does is like an Uber farmer. Now, for every city that touches that field and that barn, you'll get 5 victory points into the game. Another cool expansion is this mayor guy. What he does, he's got big pants like MC Hammer here. And what you do when you're completing a city, when you put him in a city and you actually get to complete it, he's going to give you bonus points for every shield there is in the city. He'll get double the shield points there. So it'll be a bigger scores if you put, you know, baggy pants mayor into a city. The last one is called the wagon. This is a really cool one. Once you score something, it moves to the next area. So for example, let's say that I was moving around. I had him on this road. Let's say I put the wagon on that road, and eventually I scored the road. What's going to happen is the wagon is going to move up down the road to the next scoring availability, which would be this city. And then once you score the city, he may move out of the city onto another road or unscored road or whatever. So he just basically kind of keeps moving around the board, just looking for the next incompleted road or city to score. So that's really cool as well. And that's the expansion. Expansion number 6 is called the Count, the King, and the Robber. With the Count, they have some new tiles. These are starting tiles you'll set up. They are labeled 1 through 12. And so you just set up and you'll randomly place the Count. This is the Count. You'll place him anywhere. It looks like Dracula, doesn't he? Count Dracula. You'll place him anywhere. And you can place him in the cathedral, the castle, the market area, or the blacksmith area. And they have this little tiny thing here that tells you what all the areas are. But you can kind of see cathedral, castle, market, and blacksmith. And that's important because whenever you complete someone else's road or city or whatnot, you complete it for them, you help them score, you can put one of your people in this city. And you have to put him in a particular area. So maybe I put one on the blacksmith, and maybe a few more on other turns, and other turns other players do it as well. And then of course you get to, whenever you place one, you get to move the count somewhere. So in this example, red is about to make 10 victory points on this very long road. And if you have that, well, before he scores, anyone who has people in certain areas of the city. If you're in the castle, you can steal points on cities. If you're on the blacksmith, you can steal stuff on roads, which is where we all are here. The market will steal things from a farm, and the cathedral at the end game, and the cathedral will steal from cloisters, you know. So if ever you want to try to steal some of those big points, you can take any of your characters from the city that you've previously planned up there and put them in that area to actually beat him out. So maybe red does this, but maybe a few other people. Everyone takes turns putting meeples in there, but yellow won out. He had the most meeples in there. I doubt you'd have that many meeples fighting over this road. But anyway, it's a very long road. And so if someone were to score it and you wanted to steal it, you could. unless the count was in that area. If the count's in that area, everyone's locked there and they cannot move. So it's very popular when you're playing, and they suggest this is the starting tile here because you got a few cities and a few roads leading out of it. You would start around this. This would be the center of the board. And so you'd always be putting people around, moving the count around, and trying to steal other people's victory points depending on where you are in the city. Now, the other thing that comes with this is the king and the robber tiles. Imagine this is like the longest road in the biggest city of Catan. So whenever you have these, you get to keep it in front of you until someone else scores a bigger point road or a bigger point city. The only thing is, I found it in some of our games, we forgot how big someone's road or city was, so you may want to write it down or something. I'm kind of shocked they don't have any counters here to let you know that. But either way, though, you have either longest road, longest city, and what this is, whoever has these at the end of the game will get victory points for however many roads, or they'll get 1 extra victory point for every completed city. Even if you didn't complete it, they count up the end game map and you get extra victory points for every completed city or every completed road. So these can end up being some big victory points at the end of the game. And that's the expansion. Expansion number 8 is bridges, castles, and bazaars. And this one comes with a smorgasbord of things. You get these bridges, you get these castle tokens, you get more tiles in the game. There are way more bridges and tiles you can get in this game, but you're going to divide them up evenly among the players. Depending on how many players there are, they're going to get X amount. And so what each one of these do, first off, bridges. Whenever you play something maybe like this, and you're like, man, I'm just going to break up those roads. That can't happen. Or maybe I'm trying to, complete that road. I want to play it there. Well, what I can do is play this bridge over that. And so this bridge basically goes over the city and connects the two roads. Now, if no one was playing on this road yet, I could do that and put him on that bridge and connect it myself. It's the same as playing on that road, and then get the victory points. So that's kind of cool. Another one is if you were to get one of these little mini castles here, which happens all the time. People like to score them real quick for 4 victory points. If you decide not to do that, instead, you may place one of these castle tokens on top of it. So the castle token goes on top of it there, you put your meeple there, and the next item that scores, whether it's a city or road or whatnot, whatever scores, it will. This one will also get those victory points. So if someone scored a cloister next to you, one of the tiles was touching it, or maybe one of the roads that maybe someone scored this road, it went all the way out over here. Well, he would still score it because one of the tiles were touching his castle, and so on and so forth. So, but you have to pull it off on the next score, whatever that score is, large or big. You can't make the decision when you want to take the score. You must take the score next time something next to that castle scores. Now, in addition to that, a farmer who is connected to a castle will get an additional 4 victory points for every castle that's connected to their land, which is really cool. And the last thing about this expansion is the bazaars. Whenever you play a bazaar tile, you have an auction that comes up. And what you'll do is you'll take the next 3 tiles off the board, or however many there are, how many players you have in the game. You'll take that many tiles out on the board and you'll auction victory points. You'll show them up here and you'll auction victory points for each one. So whoever gives the highest victory points on each one, everyone votes for one, okay? So everyone's going to get one, and you're bidding victory points. Once all the bidding is complete, then everyone at that time is going to take these simultaneously, place them on the board, and they can either score or put meeples on it or whatever they want to do. But that's basically just like a little auction style aspect that they added to this expansion. Expansion number 9 is called Hills and Sheep. In this expansion, what you're going to have is obviously a few more tiles. You're going to have a sheep bag. You're going to have also a little shepherd here and some sheep tiles that when flipped over can be 1, 2, 3, 4 sheep or a wolf. And how this works is when you place a shepherd, you can place a shepherd now on one of the grasslands. And then you'll pull from the sheep bag 1 random token. So let's say I played this one, it was 1 sheep. Now later on, if I play anything that connects to that field, I can draw from the sheep bag again and draw another one on that one. So that's now 4 sheep. And as you see, maybe if I keep adding to the land there, again, maybe I do this one right here that adds to it. I can draw another one. Now I've gotten, 8 sheep now. Now at any time, I can withdraw my shepherd from there and score those sheep. Each sheep is worth a victory point. However, if I were to get greedy and then draw a wolf, there are some wolf tiles in there, then the wolf scares all the sheep away and I get 0 points. He comes off too because it scares everyone away. So it's kind of like a little bit of a push your luck style game there. The other tile that they have new on here, they have a few new tiles on here. One is vineyards. Whenever you have a vineyard next to a cloister, it's going to give you a +3 in victory points, so a lot of little vineyard tokens there. And then they have these other ones called heals. Now how heals work is when you play a heal, you're actually going to take another tile, random tile it says, flip it over and place this on top of it. So it'll be on top of that heel, like so. It's just a little bit above. And what that does, it breaks ties. So if there's someone else in this city later on, you know, someone were to connect it and they were in the city too, then I would win the tie because I have the high ground. The 10th expansion is called Under the Big Top. We're going to the circus here. You have more tiles, of course. You have a circus tent. Everyone's going to get a little ringmaster pawn. You have these animal tokens. There are several in the game. And how it's going to work is when someone plays one of these tents here, what they're going to do is they're going to take a random, and they're not going to look at random animal, place it there, place the little tent token on top of that, and then place one of their little meeples by that tent because they're there watching the circus, I guess. And later on, when someone else plays one of these tent circles somewhere on the board, let's say they go over here, then the circus travels and they move over there. And at this point, this is scored. So you're going to get 4 victory points for every meeple that is touching that area, which in this case would lead to 1, 2, 3. That'd be 12 victory points in the game. And you can really get some big points if a lot of people are crowded around that area. And of course, there'd be another animal token here. Now at the end of the game, of course, the tent's going to just remain there for the last turn. And when the game ends, you'll just score whatever's underneath, whatever animal token is underneath that tent. Now, how there's another thing called the acrobat tiles here. When you play the acrobat tiles, you may place one of your meeples on it like so. And then anyone who plays one, let's say another player played one right next to it, they could place their meeple there. And then later on, let's say you place another tile next to that one, then you could place your meeple on top of them to form the perfect pyramid. Now when you do that, you can automatically score it. Each player who has a pyramid there is going to get 5 victory points each. Now at the end of the game, any unscored, unfinished pyramids will also score an additional 5 points. And finally, you have the ringmaster. What the ringmaster is going to do, he can be played in a city or on a road or wherever, but whatever circus tile he is touching at the end of his at the end of the game. So for example, maybe he, or not at the end of the game, but during the game. Let's say he went here, he scored. He get 4 victory points for that, plus an additional 2 victory points for anything touching the tile that's circus related. So this one and this one. Not this one, it's too far away, but these two, he'd score an additional 4 points in the game. Now at the end of the game, if there's any ringmasters left unscored here, then what you'll do is he'll go ahead and score them as usual, but he'll also get victory points for any circus tiles that he's touching. Final thoughts, what do I think about the game? Woo, what a review, right? This took a couple of hours to film. Even though it didn't look like it, it did. I knew about Carcassonne. It's one of those modern classic board games that people pass up, like Catan, which I do love, Pandemic, which I enjoy. I didn't like Ticket to Ride, but I never tried Carcassonne because it was a tile placement game. And I don't really like tile placement games, but I never played it. And to be fair, I never looked at it before this year. I think last year maybe I looked at it and thought, maybe. And this year I had some trade going on here, and I thought, you know what, it's time to just go all in on Carcassonne. And I'm glad I did. I got the newest expansion. I think most of these tiles, some of them are older expansions to this one. It doesn't matter. I don't mind that the tiles don't look the same. But now, full disclosure, I've only played these expansions once. I mean, we played some Carcassonne. We played a lot of Carcassonne. We combined a lot of the expansions too, just so we wouldn't play it as much. Playing everything in the big box, probably not. You have to go to the rule books a whole lot. We played base Carcassonne, which we enjoyed. We all loved. Then we played with all the expansions, and for the most part we did all right, but it was a little too much there. And then after that, I just took 3 expansions at a time and played it that way, which may have been a little too much too, because I don't think we had time to explore each and every one. What do I think about Carcassonne? Well, I am very late to the game in reviewing this, and no one really had a review of this big box plus the other expansions. I don't know why all the expansions aren't included in the big box. That's another thing. There's plenty of room in there, and although I haven't done it yet, I'm waiting to get some dividers. Everything tiles, everything seem to fit in this big box. Like everything can fit in the big box, which I love. But why didn't they just go ahead and include it in the big box? Sure, you'd have to add another 40, $50 to it, but I don't care. I think I'd have bought that. What Carcassonne do you need? If you don't have Carcassonne and you're watching this, what do you need? Well, the base game's fun. The base game's fun. If you're not going to play it as much, you have a lot of games to cycle through, then base Carcassonne would be all right for you. But if you really enjoy Carcassonne, you're going to want at least the big box, I would say. At least get a big box. I think a big box has plenty in there, a lot of variety. Your replayability is in there as well. Do you have to get every expansion? No, you don't. And I would never get the Catapult expansion. Expansion 7 is called the Catapult. It's like, you're flicking meeples or something in there, and everything was cartoony. I took one look at it and went, no, I don't want it. Not even for $100, which is what I'm seeing it at. It just doesn't seem like it's worth it. So I'm not worried to have that one. I don't ever really need that one either. But for the rest of the expansions, it's a very brief review because I didn't get to experience them all or as much as I wanted to. Princess and the Dragon is fine. My nephews really love this one because the dragon there. Of course, we love screwing other players. That's kind of fun. This is a take that version of the game, which I know a lot of people are going to love. If you're into take that, more interaction, then that's a good one. The tower is one I enjoyed because I like the tile tower. In fact, we kept the tower out for the rest of the expansions because I really like the tower. So for the tower, it was worth it. The actual game with the towers, again, it's a little bit of take that. You're taking other meeples off the board before they score, which can get annoying. And then plus you have to waste a meeple, in my opinion, to cap it off so that no one can do it. But you don't get any points. I thought you'd get points also for capping off towers, but you don't. You don't get anything unless there's been a newer, this is an older edition here. Maybe the newer edition has something on there, but this one didn't have anything written on there. But so for me, it wasn't for me. Of course, my nephews were all giggly about it because they love Take That. Probably one of my favorites is the Abbey and the Mayor. Had a lot of different ways you could score here. I really like putting the barn. Everyone loved the barns. The wagon was a big hit. The Mayor, you want to put him in a city, score those extra points. He doesn't give you that many more points, but still, this is like this is giving you some more point salad in your game, and I did enjoy it. The Count, King, and Robber. This one, I did not think we would like it. We actually did. We love the longest road. We love the longest city. We did forget who had what for a while, but then when it came to the Count thing, I was like, no one's going to play there. Who would want to play there? Who would want to finish off someone, give someone points to do something? Man, everyone did. Everyone did. And there was this very, where's this place again? Okay, the only thing is this must be an older edition here, but the newer one, hopefully they have the names of everything, because we had to keep looking at the map to figure out where everything was and what could steal a road, a city, a cloister. And of course, people want those big points, and they're thinking, you know what? Yeah, I'll complete your little thing so I can steal something from you later. And so it actually turned out to be pretty. There weren't that many people in the Count's castle, but it was a cool starting tile, and we actually utilized it a lot more than I thought. And of course, the King and the Robber were a big hit. I knew they would be. The next one is Bridges, Castles, and Bazaars. I don't care about bazaars that much, and none of us did, because yeah, every once in a while we'd really want a tile, but no one really bid that high for any of the tiles. In fact, a lot of it was done free. One of them was done free. So one we voted a little bit high for, but no one wants to give up too many victory points to place that tile. You can only win one tile each. So I thought that was kind of a waste. But the bridges are okay when you need them. I had extra bridges left over. I think we all had extra bridges left over. And the castles too. The castles were nice too. It's a nice idea. It's pretty good. Like I said, I've only played these once though. Hills and sheep were pretty good. I like the push your luck strategy of having a shepherd and keep placing sheep. And when do you want to stop? If it's me, it's never until that wolf comes out. But when you see a wolf come out, you're like, okay, my chances are pretty good. But they put all the wolves and sheep back in there, and you get kind of nervous. But when you start getting enough points, you can pull off your shepherd and then place them somewhere else on the board. And I really love that. Now, the hills, I understand why they did that, but there's going to be ties in the game. So, to beat someone because you have someone on a hill, that's a nice little advantage. Plus, it moves through the tiles faster, which quickens the game. I get the point of that. But, it's okay. Oh, and vineyards. I don't think we ever got a vineyard to a cloister on this expansion. I should also mention when it comes to Princess and the Fairy, those little move anywhere to unclaimed areas, that was a big one. That was a big one for expansion 3. I forgot about that one. That was really good. Expansion number 10, I did not think I would like at all. At all. I read this, oh my gosh, sounds too crazy. But it's a fun crazy. It's a fun crazy, and it actually was a good one. But do you need them all? Probably not. You're going to have, they each kind of add some different aspect to the game. More interaction, more ways to score points, more ways to break ties, more objectives and stuff. They don't really make the game too meticulous. I would never play them. Well, I wouldn't say never. I'll probably try to play with them all. That would be a brain burner to remember all those rules. But if you were playing Carcassonne enough, you could probably get away with it. That'd be a huge game, and I don't know, you maybe score 500 points. I don't know how that would go. But I would definitely, with 3 expansions, it seemed a little too much. Maybe with 2 expansions, it'd be a little bit better. But I don't know, maybe the more we play, the more we'll enjoy it. And I'll be honest, it's a great game. It's a great game. I'm sad that I waited this long to play it. Anyway, gamers, that's it for now. See you next time